Hello everyone, this is English and I'm going to teach you some English. Today we're going to touch upon a very important topic on how to agree and disagree in English. I'm pretty sure all of us know two major phrases. I agree with you and I disagree with you. However, it may be a bit boring if you use them all the time. By the way, right off the bat, a lot of non-native English speakers make a grammatical mistake when using those phrases. When you say I agree with you, you should not say I am agree with you. I am agree with you would be grammatically incorrect. The same with disagree. I am disagree with you. This is grammatically incorrect. The thing is that in English, agree and disagree are verbs. And when we say I agree with you, we use present simple. And when we form present simple, we don't need to say am, is, or are, like in present continuous. The thing is that I think that in some languages, well, for example, in Russian and Ukrainian, when you say agree and disagree, they are actually adjectives. So that's why you kind of want to say am, is, or are, but not in English. So you should say I agree with you or I disagree with you. However, as you know, the more words and the more phrases you know, the better you sound in English, right? So if you want to sound more interesting and more like a native speaker, when you want to say I agree with you, say I'm with you. This is a very common phrase that is used in conversational, both in conversational and business English. So if you agree with somebody, you just say I'm with you, and you can add I'm with you on that, meaning that I support your point of view that you have just said. Another interesting phrase that you can use when talking about agreeing is I second that. Yes, you heard me correct. Second, like second minute, right, when you talk about time. But here you would use this phrase particularly when you agree to something that has been just said. Let's say we have a group discussion and one of the guys in this group expressed an opinion, something like, I believe global warming is a major issue these days, right? And you want to support that and say, I second that. That's how you say it. So I second that you would hear a lot in some group discussions or dialogues as well. Next, sometimes you may also hear the phrase, I suppose so. I suppose so is actually quite a neutral phrase, and it doesn't really mean that you agree with something, nor does it mean that you disagree. So that is why when you say, I suppose so, this is basically you want to show that you are hesitant, right? Or it's actually you are agreeing with something, however, without major enthusiasm. Right, so if you want to agree but very cautiously without being super enthusiastic, say I suppose so. Now, let's get to disagreement. How do we disagree? First of all, I would like to mention that you have to be very careful when you disagree in English, because when disagreeing is basically like saying no, for example, native speakers are very indirect when they disagree or when they say no. When I say indirect, I mean that they wouldn't be very open and upfront saying you're wrong. I mean, you can say you're wrong. However, you have to be careful, because if you are disagreeing with strangers or in business, like with clients, for example, you may come across as a rude person. That is why when you disagree and when you want to stay polite and not very aggressive, I mean not aggressive at all, you can say I'm not so sure. The phrase I'm not so sure means that you actually disagree with what has been said. However, a lot of non-native English speakers, even like when they hear the phrase I'm not so sure, they don't understand that the person actually disagrees with you. Non-native English speakers may think that it means that you have some doubts about it. But that's not true. When in conversation you hear that the person says, I'm not so sure, this basically means that the person disagrees with you or whatever, with whatever has been said. So yeah, but it's very polite. And you don't need to worry that you may sound a little bit rude. Same with like I disagree, for example. If you use this phrase directly, you may sound like too negative. I disagree, right? Or, so it may sound too harsh. However, if you add I'm afraid right away, like right at the beginning of the phrase, then it's going to make this phrase softer. So if you say, I'm afraid I can't agree with you, and you see, instead of saying disagree, you actually say I can't agree, so you use the positive verb. So if you say I'm afraid I can't agree with you, that's like, of course, they will understand that you disagree, but it's going to be like politically correct. It's going to be polite on your behalf, and you won't sound so negative and so aggressive. If you said I disagree with you or I completely disagree with you. Like if you say a phrase like I completely disagree with you, that shows some emotions, right? And not all the time you want to show those emotions. All right, so hopefully I have shared some interesting phrases that you can use instead of I agree and I disagree to sound more like a native speaker. Now, if you like this video, make sure you give me a thumb up and make sure you subscribe to my channel. You will be the first one to receive the next video from me. If you have any questions, drop them in comments. I'll be happy to chat with you over there.